Hello, this is Theo Goodman, and welcome to Transmission. Today I'm here with Bill from Dash. How's it going, Bill?
It's going great, Theo. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's get right into it. How did you get into Bitcoin and altcoins?
So actually, before we do start, I did want to just let you know, man.
Mhm.
I wanted to publicly apologize for personally attacking you on YouTube and on the Dash Slack group,
Oh,
and
that's all good.
also for making assumptions about your affiliation with the DAO. There's
Oh, that's
really
all
no,
good.
yeah, there's no really justification for the way I acted, and I'm a little bit ashamed of how I did act. So I just wanted to apologize and
Well, well,
get
that's
that
okay.
out
I
there.
mean, it takes two, I'm not, one, I was also a little trolly there too, definitely. So that's okay. I get it. And the way I approach it is, that's what I meant when I said I want to go on a live video, is that I just wanted to hammer it out in person really quick. Cause I think sometimes it's hard on the comments and all that to kind of like hammer it out. Like, cause so just for everyone to kind of basically, I was, kind of criticizing Dash or whatever on a video. And then Bill said I'm pumping DAO and against Ethereum and all this stuff. And I joked around about being a DAO curator on a show before, and so it got misunderstood, and that's okay. That's cool. I mean, it was kind of the joke, but people didn't really get it as funny. They actually took it as being serious, but that's cool. And I try not to get too personal, but it can happen on the internet, and so that's why I just would rather engage people directly and just talk to them. I mean, it doesn't mean we're going to agree, but at least, um, we're just here. We're
Yeah.
just talking, so that's
I
fine.
I am actually
Mhm.
a reasonable person, and I made the comment on Slack that my actions aren't an actual reflection of who I am. And your response to that was all actions are a reflection of who we are. And I'm gonna totally agree with you on that. And
Sure. Well, we all
I'm gonna
mess up,
do
man.
I'm gonna do my best to fix the issues that I have. I just wanted to get that out there in public that I am sorry to you.
Oh, that's okay.
So in regards to your first question that you asked, sorry
Mhm.
for sidetracking us.
That's all good.
I do want to let everybody know that I don't consider myself some professional in the crypto industry. I
Hmm.
found a project and I've attached myself to it. And so with that said, I just want to let you know I may not have all the answers to the questions
Hmm.
you're going to be asking today, but I will do my best to provide the information for you.
Hmm.
So how did I get into Bitcoin? I'm one of those guys that read about it a while back before the big before the big explosion in 2013, but I was very confused about what the hell a node was or what Bitcoin was, and I got very discouraged. So I just kind of gave up on it, and then time passes, and all of a sudden I start seeing it in the news again in 2013, end of 2000. I think it was, I forget when the big explosion happened, but when the price started going extremely high, up into the 600s, up into the 1200s, that's kind of when it obviously caught my attention. And I think a lot of people, uh, I think it caught a lot of people's attention around this same time. So I'm by no means any kind of early adopter or anything like that. So I found Bitcoin and still wasn't so technically savvy at learning the technology. So I wanted to learn how to mine or learn how to earn something. I wanted to be in the space and participate. And so I came across, a lot of people hate on altcoins, and I get it, like competition or pump and dumps or scams, but you got to understand that these altcoins out there that people design and develop and put effort into, they're like gateway drugs. Okay, I'll call it a drug. I don't know. They're gateways to Bitcoin and the entire industry, because I found Ripple. Okay, and I know a lot of people think Ripple's some big pre-mine scam, and obviously it is. Like a pre-mine, is it a scam? I don't know. And I was part of Ripple before they actually required users to users to provide all the KYC and AML information, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I was on Ripple, and they had this thing called the World Community Grid. And basically you could run a program through this third party, like, nonprofit thing called World Community Grid. And basically your computer processes data for this World Community Grid. It's kind of like that. Have you ever heard of SETI?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's kind of like SETI, right? You download a program, you choose which causes you want your computer to work for, and then it counts the number of the amount of work that your computer's doing, right? So Ripple, the guys at Ripple set something up to where they created their own group in World Community Grid, and then people could put their power, their computer power, towards these this World Community Grid thing, and then based on how much work your computer did, they would reward you with a specific amount of Ripple. So
So
I
you mean
started doing, yeah, I started doing it, and
I want to ask because I didn't realize that. So you mean that Ripple had some kind of proof of work at some point?
so it wasn't like we weren't like verifying transactions or anything, but we
Mm-hmm.
were actually running this software to see the if you look into World Community Grids, it's basically like this big packets of research, right? And so instead of having people sit there manually go through the research, they've set it up to where people can just let their computer do work, and pretty much I don't know what the word is, like go through the research, right? And pull out, I guess, what's
Yeah.
important. I don't know.
There's projects like that, trying to find a cure for cancer and different things like that, or Prime Coin. I mean, it's also does the transactions, but they're making prime numbers. We don't know if it's going to be useful or not, but it's doing work for something else. So, okay, so you say this Ripple Grid was a form of you would get a reward depending on how much computer power you put into it.
Yeah, into working on the research for World
Mm-hmm.
Community Grid. And I started earning some Ripple. It was awesome. I brought in a bunch of my friends, and we started like making bets with each other, betting our Ripple. And that was my first experience with an actual altcoin or any kind of coin. I honestly didn't even own Bitcoin at the time. Like I had nothing. So I got 25 Ripple, and I think it was worth maybe less than $1. And I felt like this surge of energy and excitement just blowing up inside of me. So I think that was the moment where I became hooked. And from that point on, Bitcoin was in $1,200, and nobody knew what was going to happen. It was going to shoot up to 10,000 or drop down to $250, right? So I was a little skeptical about buying Bitcoin. And also, I had no idea how to even use like a Qt wallet or anything like that. So I spent some time in Ripple, and then from there I started finding a few other projects, and I got actually pretty involved with the Ripple community and spent some time on the forums and met a lot of awesome people. But it just kind of got boring to me, and I read a lot of claims that it's more like a bank, and I wasn't feeling it, right? So I started looking for other things, and I came across Darkcoin and instantly was hooked to that because they were preaching anonymity, right? And I wasn't fairly certain that Bitcoin could provide the level of anonymity that I required for myself. And just to use a reference, I mean, look what was going on at the time with the Silk Road. Like obviously they found people and their transactions, right? They located people. So that was the major selling point for me. And I jumped into the Darkcoin community and kind of lurked a little bit and slowly started integrating myself into the community and getting involved. And from that point, I started volunteering. I helped create 25 how-to videos, and I've just been a part of the community since then. You know, just 2 years. March 2014, I believe, is when I joined.
All right. And what's a blockchain?
So I want to ask you where this question comes from because I've seen it asked all over the internet, and I
Well,
know.
I'm going to make a compilation at some point. I think I've asked about 10 people, like in interviews like this. I usually include it as a question because it's a interesting question. And I started doing it, I think, in the summer last year because the whole discussion about private blockchains and there was, it's not stopping. There's still a lot of discussion about
So
blockchain.
I turned my answer into a joke, but I'll give you.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good. That's great.
I'll
Give
give
it
you a
to us.
real answer based off what I've read and what I actually know. But my joke was it's a cinder block attached to a metal chain. And I was actually going to have a cinder block sitting next to me with a metal chain. And there's your blockchain right there, right?
Okay, that's pretty
But
good.
really, though, I guess it's a public decentralized ledger. You know,
Hmm.
that's my answer.
That's cool. All right. I think you already kind of covered it, but what is your role in the Dash community? Is there a kind of official role, I know that there's core developers, and I know there's different people that get money from or Dash from people have proposals and they get paid for the proposals, and then I guess you could say they have a certain role or a role for a period of time. Do you have a role in the Dash community officially?
So no, I've never requested or do I even have the desire to have any kind of official role or label in the Dash community. I've
Mhm.
never been paid from the blockchain. In fact, I have given away more Dash than I've ever received in tips or anything like that from anybody.
Mhm.
Um, um, I'm a proponent of, there's people in the community who are setting up business development, and they're pushing for a lot of other things besides actual development. And so I'm a firm believer that our budget funds should be 90% allocated towards actual development and not marketing and not business development. So the things I do aren't development, so I don't expect to be paid, right? I'm an enthusiastic Dash user, and I'm a community member, and the only official role I actually have, and I wouldn't even consider this official, is I started the public Dash Slack, and I basically operate that on a day-to-day basis. But there's
Mhm.
no official label. I don't get paid from the blockchain, and that's it, man.
Okay, that's cool. All right, and now to everyone's favorite topic, the I word. Um, so, everyone, uh, well, basically, I think most people that encounter Xcoin, Darkcoin, Dash, have heard about the Instamind discussion. And, I believe it's first hour or so of the release, there was no Windows wallet and there were some mess ups with the release. And then there's also the issue of the mining rewards being adjusted afterwards also. And basically, a bunch of people were able to mine a large supply of the coins in a real short time. Now, not that it doesn't happen in other altcoins or other things, but it definitely is a topic that comes up as far as people wanting to trust a coin if it was mined very quickly by one person. I mean, you can't prove it, but or a few people, then people tend not to trust it. So, what's your opinion about the whole Instamine? And I would just say briefly that from the comments that I've seen so far, is people say, well, we don't care. It's actually good because the people or the main core developer that has a lot of the coins now he can work on Dash and somehow I don't know use his coins to live off of, or I'm not sure how it exactly works, but they actually think it's good that there was this kind of allocation of coins. What do you think about all this?
So my personal opinion on Instamines is, and we don't deny that this happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's reports out there, there's written articles. I think Evan's done a couple interviews and tried to explain himself, but no matter what he says, people always try to find an angle at it, right? So I personally think that, yeah, if there's a developer and he comes in and he pre-mines or insta-mines his project and then starts pumping his project, right? He hires a PR company to start pumping his project. He starts getting people to join the community and shill for the project. And let's say, you know, he doesn't really put his face out there. You know, nobody really knows who he is. It's a little more hard for me to trust something like that, right? Because there is a chance that he pumps his project all the way up and it reaches a certain level or a certain price, and then all of a sudden he sells his pre-mined coins and then see you guys later, right? I'm no longer going to develop for you guys. So I'm out of here. Mm-hmm. Evan didn't do that. Evan, there was a pre-mine. I honestly couldn't tell you how many coins Evan mined. I wasn't here in the beginning days. I've never mined any dart coin in my life. Every dart coin or dash that I own personally, I've purchased on my own. So yeah, there was coins mined, but how many does Evan have? And did he run off? No, you know, the price has gone from 0 cents to $1 to $7 to $15. And maybe Evan sold some coins at the time, but he didn't run off. You know, he didn't say, see you guys later, I'm rich now and my scam worked. You know, he continued developing. He continued coming up with ideas to improve his project. He continued putting his face out there. Look, you could literally, if you wanted to, you could get Evan Duffield's personal home address with a simple Google search. Okay. So you could know where this guy lives, you know? I mean, when I think of scam or like, when I think of scam, I think of like, let me give you an example of what I think a scam is. Okay.
Okay.
And this is a personal experience that I had. I think like 4 years ago, before I got into the cryptocurrencies, I got into silver coins, right? And so I'm browsing Craigslist and I come across what are those old silver coins? They're kind of more intrinsic value, you know.
There's Morgan dollars.
The Morgan dollar. Okay, so I find this post on Craigslist and it's like, oh, you know, I got 20 Morgan dollars and for $300 you can own them all, and the price labeled was way below like the spot price, right? So I'm thinking like, oh man, they're great, you know, this is great, I'm gonna get these. So I text the guy and we meet up at a 7-Eleven and he comes and he gives me the coins and I give him $300 and he runs off, you know, and he's gone. And so I'm starting to look at the coins and I start Googling them and I'm like, one of the coins, it's like, it says the intrinsic value or whatever is like $3,000, and my heart's like beating so fast. I'm like, I'm super excited, right? And so I go and I meet up with my dad, my father, and I was like, Dad, check this out, you know, like, and I show him the coins and he takes one and he flips it, you know, like in his thumb. And he's like, I don't know, man. He's like, I used to bet these in Vegas, and he's like, this feels a little light. And so instantly, like, I'm like, oh shit, you know. So I Google how much does a Morgan dollar weigh, and I get the weight, and I go and weigh every single one of my coins, and they're all under like a certain amount of grams or something.
Yeah. And
I'm like, I'm shit out of luck, man. $300 out the closet, you know. That's a scam to me, man. You know. So there was a pre-mine, and Evan does have coins, and it does allow him to continue working on the project because, look, you're probably going to hate this. I don't know. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. Let's say Evan owns 200,000 Dash. Okay. That's what, 2,000 masternodes? right?
I think so. So we have to back up a little bit because not everyone knows what that is.
Okay.
But right. So okay. So first of all, what's the total supply of Dash
Like,
currently? Do you know?
not off the top of my head, but I'll get
Okay.
it for you.
Oh,
So
okay.
the
And
total supply
mhm,
of
mhm.
Dash says 6,561,000, and I think about 2,500 Dash are created daily around
Okay.
there.
All right, right. And you say you think that he has 200,000, or you're just using that as a
I,
number just for
I'm
fun?
pulling that out of my ass.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
And
I was going to
okay,
give you
all
some
right.
figures to give you an idea of how he could possibly be making money.
Sure. Okay, yeah, well that's okay. I'll just go to that question because all right, so just in a non-technical way, yeah, let's just say master nodes help mix coins to make Dash anonymous.
Right.
You would pretty much, yeah. And
They're
because they earn dashes by doing that, right?
Yes. Yes. And there's other functions that they perform, such as there's instant send in Dash, which
Hmm.
is it basically protects uh, vendors or merchants from double spend attacks. And the master nodes help with that too. I can't get into technical aspects of how it works, but basically it locks 6 confirmations, so it's instantly locked. So
Hmm.
you can't double spend. Like I send you one Dash through instant send, it's instantly has 6 confirmations, so I can't turn around and send that same Dash to another merchant.
Right. Okay, so there's some services that these master nodes offer, and the network, if you use them, you pay for them, and then the master nodes earn Dash coin because of that. And if I want to run a master node, how many Dash do I need?
So it requires a collateral of 1,000 Dash.
Right. So I put that then in my node. It's like a wallet basically, and
Yeah,
with
we have
some.
a we
Mhm.
you run a hot cold setup, so you'll have your hot wallet, which is basically a VPS that runs the Dash D software, and then you'll have your cold wallet, which is like a laptop, or they're getting to where you'll be able to run your cold wallet actually on a Tracer. So you'll be able
Mhm.
to run your cold wallet from the Tracer. So your actual private key on your masternode uh, address, it's never exposed. Like it's never on the internet. Like you don't put it on your VPS or anything.
Okay. Well, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. So basically, I think what. So I asked, how does Evan, earn money? And everyone said, well, he has Darkcoin, and he and the Dash Coin network pays the core devs to have like a allocated amount that they voted to paying. But then people said, no, he donates his pay to something, so he must run a bunch of nodes to earn a living in order to, work on Dash the whole time. I'm assuming. Is that a
That's the assumption I have too, and you're actually correct. See, we've allocated. There was a budget proposal that the core team made, and what it
Mhm.
does is it's taking 2,100 Dash and paying core members of the team. And this is
Mhm.
anybody who's developing, anybody who's doing business relations, marketing, things like that. So basically, there's 19 people on the core team, and they're getting about 73 Dash per month. But what Evan does is he donates his 73 Dash per month to another core team member, right?
Mhm.
And let's say, how does Evan make money? So I'm pulling these numbers out of my butt. Nobody knows how many coins Evan has, right?
Mhm.
But let's say Evan owns 200 master nodes, right?
Okay.
That's
Okay.
200,000 Dash. So each month, each one of his master nodes is going to get him a return of about 7 Dash, 7 to 8 Dash. So if he owns 2,000 master nodes, let's do some math, times 7, I think, right? Is that the right
Yeah.
math?
What was it? He gets, yeah, if he has how many master nodes? 1,000?
So let's say he owns 200 master nodes, okay?
200. 200
That's
times 7
200 times
is
7.
1,400 Dash.
So he's getting about 1,400 Dash per month, and then let's multiply that times the average price of Dash for the last month, which is around $7. So he's getting $9,800 a month right now. And, you know, is he starting new master nodes with that? Is he using it as living expenses? I couldn't tell you. I have no idea, you know?
Right. Okay. Well, I was just wondering because, you know, because people say, because one of the arguments about the whole Instamind thing is that it's actually good because now even, you know, he came up with the cool idea and now he can work on it. Okay. Well, how does that work? It would just be, you know, interesting to know. So, okay, we assume that it's from running master nodes and something along that line is how it works. I wanted to ask something really quick before I forget. Sorry, just before. What does the pay for the master nodes change if there's a bunch of master nodes?
Yeah.
So let's say that it does. Okay.
Yeah. So like 8 months ago, there was only 3,200 master nodes, right? And the master node operators were making probably, I don't know, like 10 Dash per month instead of 7. So as the number of nodes rises, yeah, your reward changes because master nodes are only getting 45% of the block reward. At the moment, miners get 45%, master node operators get 45%, and then 10% of the block reward goes towards the budget allocation.
Okay, great. All right. How is Dash made anonymous?
Sorry. Had to cough.
No problem.
So what we do is we get a bunch of Irishmen together and we ask if they can hide our transactions under their kilts. And it works. It actually works like really well. No, but really there's this thing and we call it private send, right? It used to be called dark send, but we call it private send, and it's a pre-mixer. Okay, it's not like you send a private send transaction and it's automatically private. You have to mix your coins. It's an implementation based off CoinJoin, but it's not CoinJoin, and it's heavily improved. Let me give you an analogy here, okay? Let's say we have 5 guys, and they step up to a table, and everyone throws $21 bills on the table. And let's say all those bills are mixed together, right? And then let's say all those bills are mixed together by a random group of 5 people that were chosen randomly out of 1,000 people. So 5 random people came in and mixed all of those bills on the table randomly, and those 5 people were chosen from 1,000 people, you know? Okay. Now all the $1 bills are mixed together, and everyone who put $21 bills on the table takes $21 bills back out. So if all bills were in perfect condition and there was no special markings on the bills, would you be able to tell which bills you had originally in that pile of bills?
It would be hard. It would be nearly impossible. It would be really difficult to do.
Pretty hard, you know, especially if you're not sitting there, you know, watching these 5 people mix the bills up. So that's an analogy of how dark send works. A technical level, I couldn't give you 100% specifics, but it is on the protocol level. You do it through the Dash QT wallet. So you'll open the Dash QT wallet and there's a button that says start private send mixing. You click that button and then it starts mixing your coins for you, right? And the technical aspect of how that actually works, I couldn't tell you. Is it attack proof? Christoph Atlas, when DarkSend was first released, did a code review on DarkSend, and he came back with some flaws, and those flaws were actually quickly fixed by the developers of Dash. And you can go read this entire review online and actually see what Christoph said. I also know that Daniel Diaz, who is the business manager, director of business management for Dash, he's in talks with other companies about possibly getting a code review, right? But I say that, and then I think about like the DAO and Ethereum, and they had a code review by that company, Deja Vu, and look what's going on, you know? So how efficient is an actual code review? Like, what does a
I don't
code
know.
review?
I don't know. I don't know Deja Vu's relate if they had a relationship to Ethereum or not. I'm not sure, but yeah. Well, it's all done by humans, and we mess up a lot. So, that
We
could
make
be some-
mistakes.
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. I remember actually. Christoph Atlas used to have a show on the World Crypto Network back in 2014. Dark News, but he hasn't done it in a really long time. But I remember him talking about Darkcoin back then, and I think I remember him talking about him doing the review and giving us updates and stuff like that. So you can check it out if you search through the old videos. It's pretty interesting to go back in time and check that out. All right, well, I mean, Dash is open source, just like all the other cryptocurrencies, right?
Yeah, so it was originally a fork of Litecoin, and then the developers, I don't know what the word is, I think they call it ported over to the Bitcoin fork. So they turned it into a Bitcoin fork. So now it's an actual Bitcoin fork at the moment, and it is all open source. In the beginning, there's some crybabies complaining that the DarkSend technology wasn't open sourced, and it wasn't, but all the code was finally open source. So all the code out there for Dash is verifiable, and anybody can go read it.
Okay, so now it is in fact open source, the DarkSend or Dash Send, Private Send. What is it called now? Sorry,
It's called Private Send, and
Private Send. I got it right. Private Send.
I'm not an ass kisser, Theo. Like, there's a few people in the Dash community who are outspoken, and we're critical of development, and we're not afraid to speak our mind, man. So when I have an issue with something, I'm gonna say stuff, and I'm gonna bring it to the public, and I'm gonna hopefully people will listen and jump on board with my issues, because I do see some issues. I don't care. I don't really care for our name, Dash. I mean, people have made the comment that it's a detergent, and I almost somewhat agree.
Well, it's supposed to be digital cash, is from what I understand, like cash Dash.
Yeah, I guess it works,
However, you could talk about rebranding for a long time. Okay, well, actually, I just wanted to know your opinion about one last question is, it is open source, and why not just have someone work on the Dash technology or the private send technology, at least on a Bitcoin sidechain or on a layer of Bitcoin, instead of making it an alt chain? Why not just add this technology to Bitcoin anyway? Actually, back on Christoph's show, he would talk about that too, about how maybe one of the anonymous coins, the technology could somehow be added to Bitcoin at some point. And since it's open source, I mean, there's nothing preventing anyone from trying to do something like that, I assume. What do you think about that?
So if you go and read the original story of Darkcoin's birth, and it's on the forums, you can go to dash.org/forums, and then in the general section, there's a sticky post called "The Birth of Darkcoin." If you read that, you'll see that Evan wrote that he actually tried to submit a few pull requests to Bitcoin, and basically he was told no. No, sorry, dude, not happening. And that's the actual moment where he decided to, okay, I'm gonna go and create my own altcoin, right? So could the technology possibly be implemented into a sidechain or into Bitcoin? If it could, awesome, man. If there was a private send mixer inside of Bitcoin, I would be ecstatic, man. I'm not a Bitcoin hater. I love Bitcoin. It's the first mover advantage. I own Bitcoin. I use Bitcoin. I'm going to D10E on July 19th and 20th, and I purchased my airplane tickets using Bitcoin, man. Like, I use Bitcoin, right? I don't hate it.
Okay.
Could they implement this technology? Will they? They could, but will they? I don't see
know.
it.
Unless someone takes over that project, I don't think it's likely. But Okay, but it is open source, so you could possibly see some of the technology that has been developed used on Bitcoin or other coins. Theoretically, you know, you could fork. You
if
could
you look
fork Dash.
into that current pump and dump, NEM, NEM, or whatever the hell it's called. If you read up on that, they actually have a somewhat similar system set up for master nodes. They call them super nodes or something like that. And I don't know if they did or not. They may have taken Dash's technology and used that in their protocol or in their project. I don't know if they did, but it sounds somewhat familiar to me.
Sure, there's been a few of, you know, obscure altcoins that have had no master node kind of technology in it.
You know, I wanted to add the master nodes also. You know, anyone can run a Dash full node. You could download the full client and run a Dash full node. You can run a full node like you normally do on Bitcoin, right? But in addition to that, the master nodes are also considered full nodes. So it gives an incentive for people running a full node. You know, you get paid for actually operating this software, for actually doing work and providing a service to the network. You're getting paid for that.
Okay, great. All right, well, that's about it for today. Any closing words, and let us know how we can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna plug too much here, but I do have a podcast still in the works. I have two that I run right now, and one of them that is not really related to Dash or cryptocurrencies. It's kind of on the back burner right now because I don't have a lot of time, but you can visit the website and check out some of my old interviews or podcasts. It's called The Dark, and that's DARQ.io. And then at the moment, I also host another podcast called The Dashcast. And this is basically a podcast targeted to Dash individuals and community members. I'm not trying to make a name for myself or become famous or anything like that. I basically provide information to the Dash community with that podcast. And then if you do want to get a hold of me or reach me, you can check me out on Twitter. It's Cassidy's Web, CASSIDYSWEB, I think.
Okay.
And anyone is welcome to come join our public Slack. It's digitalcash.signup.team.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. And I'll put the link in the description if anyone wants to get up with him on Twitter. I want to thank everyone for watching this episode of Transmission here on the World Crypto Network. Please make sure to subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Also, you can put your comments in the description below, and me or Bill or someone else will get to you and we can start a discussion there. Thanks a lot for watching, and talk to you next time.